Located on the north side of Fort Worth, Texas Motor Speedway rose from the prairie in the spring of 1995, carved out by the movement of more than 4 million cubic yards of earth. When it opened the following year, the massive 1.5-mile oval immediately stood apart, featuring bold, dual-angle banking and a vision of speed on a Texas-sized scale. The first major race came in April of 1997 when Mark Martin claimed the victory in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. One day later, Jeff Burton delivered in front of a sellout crowd of more than 200,000 fans, winning the inaugural NASCAR Cup Series race at TMS. Just 2 months after that, Kenny Irwin added his name to history as the track's first NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series winner. Texas Motor Speedway has also played a pivotal role in the career of Dale Earnhardt Jr. It was here in 1998 that he scored his first ever Xfinity Series win. And just 2 years later, on the same high-speed stage, he captured his first NASCAR Cup Series victory. Not long after, the track was reconfigured, removing the original 8-degree portion of the banking in pursuit of even faster racing. Through the years, Texas has continued to evolve, reshaped, reimagined, and relentlessly fast, demanding precision, bravery, and flawless execution at more than 190 miles an hour. Tonight, under the lights in Texas, it's time for the PSRA Open ARCA Series Lonestar State 150. And it's next on Track Limits Network. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the virtual Texas Motor Speedway, the Lonestar State 150 PSRA Open ARCA Series Season number 3. Let's take a look at the race details. 100 laps the distance here tonight, 70% fuel on board, 4 sets of tires available over the wall, no faster pairs, count them, 0 zip zilch, and 3 attempts at a green-white checkered finish. Little typo there. But that's the plan tonight. 3 available if necessary. Really haven't needed that many yet this season. Fingers crossed that won't change tonight. Practice just about wrapped up here in Texas. I'm joined in the broadcast booth by Chris Gillens. How we doing, Chris?
Hey, good evening, Steve. We're doing well over here. How about yourself?
Hanging in, doing the best we can, all weekend. Trying to get one more broadcast out of the way before I head down to Florida, and it's going to screw up my entire broadcasting schedule, but we'll make up for it, I'm sure.
That's right. Well, at least we're going out with a start of a good week here with this Texas Motor Speedway race. This will be a good race to see, and it'll be exciting, hopefully.
Fast time in the practice session, 28.910. Jeremiah Holt, top of the charts. Colt Ansley, second quick. A home race for Colt. Just 1/100th of a second shy of Jeremiah. Frank Griffith, Will Jones back behind the wheel, and David Bradford rounding out the top 5. 7 drivers in that top 10 below the 29-second bar to clear. Bobby Hamilton Jr., the first driver above it with a 29.021. Then it's Ken Couch, Matt Nicholson, your top 10 in this practice session with just about a minute plus remaining before we get right into qualifying. Qualifying-wise, we're looking at a 5-minute session, 2 laps, whatever is completed first. Chris, what's the best way to get around this place? I mean, it's certainly not a road course. I know you have a bit of experience, at least in the sports car side of things in that venue, but on these ovals, you've been running these ARCA cars a bit as well. What's a real good way to get around this place, at least for just 1 or 2 quick laps?
Well, I'll be honest with you, Texas is not my strongest track here. I've always had some struggles here, but the big key to this one's turn 1 and 2. It's vastly different on both sides of the track. They reconfigured this track. So now turn 1 and 2 is much more of a finesse style flat corner. So you make or break your lap with turns 1 and 2. 3 and 4, you can almost run flat out for the run. You're not really losing too much time there. But getting through there as the tires wear down later on in the run, you'll see them just push off of 2. So keeping it out of the wall is going to be key for sure. But like I said, just a lot of off throttle time. Surprisingly enough, the slower you take that corner, really the faster the lap goes.
Well, practice in the books. We'll find out how these guys get around the Speedway here in this qualifying session. We'll see who takes to the Speedway first here in just a moment. Chris, I want to ask, too, is that turn 2, I know back in the day, it used to fall off like a cliff. You'd get off the banking there and it would just completely flatten out. Is it still somewhat the case, or has that been improved with some of the reconfigurations over the years?
It's definitely been improved with some of the reconfigurations. You don't have that kind of that little bit of drop like you're talking about. Biggest thing is it does flatten out as you get to the exit of the corner, or the banking itself. So it does tend to push you out towards that wall a lot harder than it used to. So if you're not careful, you're following the car in front of you, not paying attention, you could very easily slap in the wall with the right side, especially with a little bit of the aero with these cars. You tend to get really tight behind the other cars as well. Cool thing about 1 and 2 is it does have multiple grooves early on, so you'll kind of see them spread out, I'm sure.
Watching Will Jones here first to take to the Speedway. Chris, we've seen him kind of wiggle the race car quite a bit, even on the straightaways, just trying to rub some heat into those rear tires. I guess this is going to be a throwaway lap for Jones. We'll see if lap 2's any quicker.
Yeah, I think you'll see a lot of the guys that kind of use that first lap as that throwaway lap, like you said, trying to get those tires up to temp. With these, they don't take to heat as well as some of the other cars. So with these general tires, it does take a lap or two extra to get it up to speed and up to temp. So I think you'll see that first throwaway lap.
Will Jones goes P1, 29:016 for the number 46. That's the new time to beat. Frank Griffith now on the Speedway, finishing up his second lap. Ran a 29:23, 6th quick as he crosses the stripe. As Jeremiah Holt, fastest in practice, goes P1. Griffith improves to 4th. And a very quick lap, 29:015, just 1/1000th faster than Will Jones. Longworth across the stripe, 12th, 29:555. Now David Bradford will cross start finish. Time to beat, 29:015. He runs a 27 his first lap. Bradford across the stripe. Does he do it? And no, 4th quick, 29:031 for the Crown Apple number 13. Corey Bigley now in the Red Bull Mustang. Just under 2 minutes left in this session. Bigley running relatively high on the racetrack here, at least on his first lap. We'll see if that changes in lap 2. 19th quick on lap 1 and right down to that white line through turns 1 and 2. Opens the wheel up off the racetrack, just about 6 inches off the safer barrier on exit. See if Bigley's got anything for the pole. He'll cross the line, lock in, goes from 20th quick to 5th, 29:053. And there's only 2 drivers left to take a time, and they likely will not. Keenan Kimber, Mark Truxell will start from the rear, but that may end up doing it here for qualifying with about 30 seconds left in the session. Well, Chris, we'll go ahead and ask the same question. What's the strategy for the long haul as far as the race is concerned? 100 laps, only 150 miles here tonight.
You know, it's really hard to say. I guess it's ever changing, right? So it depends on where the cautions fall, everything like that. With this, with these cars, one thing I found out in my experience with these cars is the left side tires don't really wear out as much as you would anticipate. So if you have a short enough span there at the end of the race or something like that, I could anticipate some guys maybe taking 2 tires. So I've seen guys do it. I've taken 2 myself, been pretty successful with it. So it's just going to be about where those cautions fall and what kind of pit strategy does evolve. But don't be surprised if it falls in the right way that you may see a couple guys take 2 at the end.
Well, we're waiting for that strategy to play out. In the meantime, let's take a look at our starting grid. On the pole position with a lap time of 29.015 seconds, fastest in practice, fastest in qualifying, it's Jeremiah Holt. Outside front row missed it by 1/1000th of a second. That one's got a sting. It's Will Jones. Row number 2, it's Drew Blaze and David Bradford. Row 3 belongs to Corey Bigley and Frank Griffith. Starting in the 4th row, it's Cole Ansley and Josh Ingram. Row 5, Matt Nicholson and Chris Klein. Starting in the 11th spot, the number 11 of Rodney Roberts with Will Hewitt to his right elbow. Starting 13th from Lonestar Racing, another home race for Mike Fahey. Bobby Hamilton Jr. will start 14th. 15th starter, it's Stephen Luttrell. 16th belongs to Ken Couch. 17th, the 71 of Alan DeFries with A.J. Rogers starting 18th. 19th starter, the 94 of Aaron Longworth. 20th belongs to the 3 of Terry Wilson. Last row on the field, didn't take time in qualifying. Keenan Kimber in the 65 will roll 21st. And shotgun on the field for the HLC Motorsports number 5, it's Mark Truxell. It's your starting grid here from Texas Motor Speedway. The Lone Star State 150 about to get underway. Packed house here tonight. Chris, let's give you a pick here. Who are you going to go with at the race win tonight?
Well, Steve, I think I'm going to go with someone that I have not taken all year so far. Someone that showed some speed quite a few different places. Does have at least 1 win on the year, maybe 2. I'm going to take the 88 there.
Chris Goins going with the 88 of Drew Blaze as the field rolls off. A lot of bad luck this season for the 46 of Will Jones. Got some frustrations worked out back behind the wheel here this week in Texas with a solid run, parking it on the front row. I'm going to go with Will Jones to put it in victory lane here tonight and turn his luck around.
It's always a solid choice. Will's always fast. He can get some luck to fall his way. He'll definitely be there.
One more check of the race details tonight. 100 laps the distance, 150 miles, 70% fuel on board, 4 tire sets available over the wall, no faster pairs, and ignore the one. It's actually 3 attempts at a green-white checkered finish if we need it here this evening. Track temperature 75 degrees, likely not to change much as we are under the lights here in the Lone Star State. Field doubled up off turn number 4. The pace car will head to pit lane, and we are ready to get things underway here from Texas Motor Speedway.
Green flag.
And there it is, green flag in the air. We're racing in Texas. Jones had the advantage, headed down into turns 1 and 2, but Holt with the run out of the corner. He'll take the top spot as 1 car in the wall, 2 cars having a problem at the back of the pack. Rodney Roberts and Matt Nicholson facing the wrong way midway down the back straightaway. That is suboptimal for the driver of the number 4. Not exactly sure what happened there. But coming back to start finish, leading lap number 1, it'll be Jeremiah Holt. We got Dolly Wall, 564 in the chat, says Bradford for the win here tonight. We'll keep an eye on his progress this evening. Top 5 all in frame. David Bradford, the 5th place machine. Battle behind him, Cole Ansley and Frank Griffith side by side. Ansley's going to go on by around the outside, take the spots, and move Ansley to P6. Griffith right there to the back bumper will go on board. Ironic that Frank's in behind Ansley here because he's got "Not Clear, Frank" painted on the back bumper of that Bump and Run podcast Chevrolet.
Looks like a little bit of foreshadowing there with Colt's car, I guess.
Meanwhile, a little further up the field here, Corey Bigley took a peek to the inside on Will Jones. Bigley got some pace here early on, but the fast car on the racetrack is Colt Ansley. Only driver below 29 seconds in this opening couple of laps here in Texas. Got a battle for the lead, though. Will Jones knows Bigley's coming. He's got to make room ahead of him. He's got to get clear of Jeremiah Holt. Holt's up the racetrack. Jones down low. He's there. Not quite clear. Now he is clear off turn number 2. Will Jones to the race lead. Bigley going to try and do the same. Just sticks the nose there, gets the bottom of the racetrack, has to chase it up the track just a touch. Bigley stepping out of line again. Holt just yields the position, but quickly slams the door on Drew Blaze. Blaze had full intention just to follow the 58 through, just wasn't quite close enough to do it. Now a battle behind them, David Bradford and Colt Ansley. That battle shaping up. Chris, that turn number 2 just got to be so deceptive. You all of a sudden you're in the banking mid-corner and then it just kind of disappears from you. Like you were saying in the open, it just kind of shoots you up the racetrack. How do you avoid that? Can you just plan ahead for it? You just got to lift and then let the rear end start to come around so it turns? Or is that almost too risky?
No, you just have to trust. You have to trust your feel of the car. So you spend so much time off the throttle in 1 and 2 that you feel like you just going so slow, not in it at all. You naturally want to get back into it earlier. It's so wide. It's like, okay, well, I got plenty of room. I can push wide, and all of a sudden it narrows up. You really just have to trust yourself and use a lot of discipline. Maintain consistent. Coast through, and you'll feel the car settle. Once you feel the car settle, you can stomp on it, get out of the corner. But if you're in it any time early before that car settles, it's going to send you right out towards that wall.
Drew Blaze and Frank Griffith side by side on the turn number 4. Meanwhile, we got a change for the race lead. Corey Bigley made short work of Will Jones, just drives right around, and now putting some distance on the 46. It's 0.3 of a second back to Jones. So some early run speed for Corey Bigley. The question will remain, will it last? At this point, looks like Will Jones going to settle in the tire tracks of Bigley, maybe learn a thing or two, see what the 58's doing differently than him. Both of these drivers very fast, very skilled. Doesn't mean that one driver or the next might not have a different driving style or maybe a better way to get around a particular racetrack. So Jones going to settle in there. Just a couple of tenths off the back bumper. He's gained a tenth back since the pass. So I think he's just going to be happy with where he's at this point.
Yeah, you can learn a lot riding behind the guy in front of you. As long as you maintain the ability to not overdrive your car in the same regard. Putting that little bit of pressure on the back can also make that car front, make that driver push a little bit harder, burn his stuff up a little earlier than maybe he wants to. Maybe Will's trying to do that, fill his mirror up a little bit, cause Corey to push a little bit harder, push out of the corners, and have to crank a little bit more wheel in it, use up a little bit more tire early, pass for him, kind of in the middle of the run.
Bigley's last lap at 29.49 to Jones's 29.52, so pretty much matching each other's pace at this stage. Just this last lap now, Bigley goes a 60, Jones goes a 58. So, Chris, I think you might be right there. Either Jones is pushing him or they're just kind of matching each other right now. See who's got the better setup. Again, this is the PSRA Open ARCA series. The Open standing for open setups. As drivers are allowed to make changes to their race cars for qualifying, for practice, even the occasional adjustment during a pit stop. So some guys might be set for the short run, some guys maybe the long run. We'll see how that plays out as the race progresses.
Yep, and that's the unique thing about this. You see a lot of the fixed setup leagues and things like that. That's what I really like about this is you really learn who has a real grasp of their car and who can adjust. The weather's constantly changing, temperatures change, or rubbers get put on the track. So who can make those adjustments with the track and the weather changes. It's really exciting to be able to watch these guys do that throughout the run.
Drew Blaze still in the tire tracks of Frank Griffith. Blaze running back P7. He's lost 4 spots from the drop of the green flag, but again, this goes back to the setup thing. Maybe he's got to run some more laps, get some heat, some wear into those tires before it really starts to come in as he makes the move and completes the pass on Frank Griffith, so move Blaze back into the top 6.
Yeah, this is something that we see Drew do all the time. Take it easy at the beginning part of the run, just kind of ride and conserve tires. He's one of the best at saving tires that I've ever raced against. I've learned a lot from him in doing it. So I think with him, he was kind of riding there, but the guys worked a little bit harder than maybe he wanted to. You'll start to see him maybe slowly move towards the front here as we get closer to pit stops.
Blaze also not one to be shy about bolting on just 2 tires on that final stop to pick up a bit of track position. We'll have to see if that plays out. So far, this race running very clean. So that last pit stop, if we're under green flag conditions, I would not put it past the driver, that number 88 Mustang, to do just that. We'll have to wait and see. But he's shown that he's been good with it in the past. We've watched him win races here on track limits and doing just that. We'll see if he can do it again. Moment there for Cole Ansley, real loose off turn number 4. Big checkup out of the 86, and he'll lose a spot, maybe 2 out of this. Blaze goes by, and Frank Griffith now to the outside.
Yep, and I was going to say it earlier, and I'm glad I held off until now. That's something that's no fault of the 88 there, but the 88 take that air off that spoiler. These cars are really susceptible to that and cause the wheel to get loose in the car in front of you. So if you see somebody, I know I'm notorious for trying to do it. You get as close as you can to that with a bumper, take that air off the spoiler, get them a little loose, move them up the track without even touching.
Oh, some contact. Cole Ansley trying to save it. And he's got it saved. Frank Griffith washed up the racetrack in the middle of 1 and 2, got into the door of the 86. Everybody's going to live to fight another day here, but Ansley slips back to 7th.
Along with that, with these cars, if you get hit in the left door, you get a little loose too. Wow.
Masterful save by the bump and run Chevrolet of Cole Ansley. He's trying to regather himself, take a couple of deep breaths, or at least begin breathing again. Steve Luttrell has locked himself within about a car length and a quarter off the back bumper of Ansley as they roll down the back straightaway into turn number 3. Chris, what does that really do there when that car was as hung out as it was? I know it's going to heat that right rear tire up. Is there anything that Colt can do at this point to try and cool that tire down?
Being in the driver's seat, I think the biggest thing that you can do is just kind of calm yourself. I think you're feelings about it. Maybe you're frustrated, upset. You want to push as hard as you can to get back to that guy. Maybe not to wreck him, not to do anything like that, but being able to control your temperament is going to just, you don't want to overdrive the car, send it, all you're going to do is make it worse. You're not going to be able to do anything with the tire. Taking it easy for a couple laps may lower the temperature 1 or 2 degrees, possibly, but just keeping control of your own temper and your own discipline to make sure you don't make the matters worse.
David Bradford now running down the race leader, Corey Bigley. I just watched Bradford get out of turn number 2, and he had some significant drive off as compared to Will Jones. Put 2 or 3 car lengths on the 46 just getting out of turn number 2. So I don't know if he's back in the corner up more than Will comparatively, or if the setups are that much different between the two cars. They are teammates, Bradford Aero Works, so they have likely very similar setups. I know David typically likes to generate a setup that's fast and then adjust the driving style accordingly. Don't know if that's the same for Will Jones.
Yeah, from what I can tell with Bradford, he tends to like a pretty loose race car. From racing with him and watching these races. So I think he does it that way, especially in these cars, because like I said, you have such a aerodynamic change when you're behind the car in front of you. It will decide to push. So he's got a real loose race car out in the air. He's pretty comfortable behind the car in front of him, which could be that why he's so much faster at this point in time in traffic. So we'll see what happens when he gets out in clear air as he's going for the lead here.
Chris, you just called it a couple of laps ago about getting tucked up underneath a guy can loosen him up. We saw David do that twice in the last lap, and the second time it got him the race lead. Bigley now to the outside, now having to worry about Will Jones. Masterful job by David Bradford just to pack some air behind that number 58, get him loosened up a bit, and it worked. But Bigley, now that he's in tow into the second spot, he's not losing a ton of ground here. He might actually be okay. May be able to mount a charge, but he's still got to worry about Will Jones taking that second spot back.
Yep, and look who's slid his way up to 4th after dropping back to, 7th previously?
Well, we've said it so many
coming back up here to fight.
So many times before, Chris, about what you do to those tires in the first 5 or 10 laps can really determine how much grip you're going to have later on in the run. If you just abuse the hell out of them right out of the gate, they're not going to be very cooperative later on. Blaze, like you said, dropped back some spots, took care of the car, just kind of gently got some heat into those tires, but now that it's time to get going, he's showing some real pace.
Yeah. And he runs a very similar race strategy that I do. I'm not going to fight you on lap 1 through 5, 1 through 10, whatever. I'm not going to fight you for that hard, because all we're going to do is burn our stuff up. Nobody's winning the race on lap 1, as they say. It's about who's there at the end and being able to maintain that. Obviously, in this case, you see it working really well for him here as he's coming up behind this battle here that we see for second.
Man, these two battling hard as we're 3 wide now. Blaze going to take advantage with these two fighting it out. Blaze now gets to the bottom. He's got Jones, and not quite clear just yet. But man, I was watching Bigley and Will Jones there. They were just an inch apart from each other. I was just really worried. We see it in the truck series so often. You get tucked up next to a guy like that, and very often the inside vehicle, truck or car, can kind of get pulled around and spun out just from being so close that way. I thought it was going to happen 2 different times, but luckily Will Jones was able to get away with it. Meanwhile, Will Hewitt on pit lane, not sure the reasons behind it. He's showing a black flag, so the 33 in the pits here to serve some form of a penalty. I don't know if there's something he incurred early, but he may actually be out of this race. Pit stop's already underway. Bobby Hamilton Jr. and Josh Ingram going to come down into pit lane. Bobby in his pit box, right side tire change at a minimum here. Sunoco race fuel going in. Jack is down on the right side. Crew around to the left. It's going to be a 4-tire stop. for the H&H Unlimited Chevrolet, Bobby Hamilton Jr. He's down and away. 14.6 seconds. A quick stop for Bobby Hamilton Jr. Mark Truxell also in the pits along with Mike Fahey, Josh Ingram. Oh, overshot the pit box. Fahey's going to have to back it up. That is a lot of track position to give up under the green flag. David Bradford still out in front with 1 second advantage over Drew Blaze. It's the first round of green flag stops underway. Chris, I'm looking at David Bradford here, and he seems off the pace. Not like there's a problem, like he's really trying to stretch that fuel, because at 33 laps for the pit stop, Bobby came down at the end of lap 32. If this runs green all the way to the end, you're going to have to save a little bit extra to make it all the way to lap 100's end.
Yeah, you know, a lot of these guys are really smart racers. You know, they're doing some calculations in their head. Right now, obviously kind of being spread out, it does look like it could lend itself to go flag to flag with no caution. So maybe he's doing the calculations, knows if I save a little bit each run, it's going to be easier than saving a lot at the very end. So
want to make note, Will Jones in the pits with a black flag. Same can be said for Rodney Roberts. I don't know if that's a too fast entering, but a big penalty for the 46 of Will Jones as he still sits stationary in that number 2 pit box. Penalty served. He's going to head back out, but now he's going to need some luck to fall his way. The way this one's going, I don't expect him to have enough cautions to get back on the lead lap, but time will tell.
Yeah, he definitely does not want it to go flag to flag here.
David Bradford on pit road. So, Chris, you may know better than I because you're usually in the race car. I'm always up here in the booth. But have they changed some things about this place as far as pit entry, pit speed? You know, where is that commitment cone located? Did any of that change in some of these recent updates?
Not that I can tell. Not that I can remember. It has been a little bit since I raced at Texas. I mean, I probably maybe back in December, roughly. But I don't think they changed anything as far as that goes. You want to say maybe the only thing I've seen that they've updated is just kind of some graphics of the way that it.
And Chris, I'm kind of wondering if that might have been the case there with Will Hewitt, because he may have been the first driver to come down and pit under green flag conditions.
Yeah, that's a good point.
In fact, yeah, Will Hewitt shows his pit stop from lap 30. David Bradford, after his pit stop, cycles back to the race lead. So our first round of green flag stops just about complete. David back out in front. Bigley making up some time on his cycle down pit lane. Bradford's total pit lane time 46.27 to Corey Bigley's 45.58. That is a significant amount of time to make up on pit lane, especially under green flag conditions. Bigley's pit stop over half a second faster than Bradford's, and you can see what it's done for him. He's just a few feet off the back bumper, the Crown Apple number 13. David running some decent laps right now at 29:38 the last time. Bigley almost matching it. Bradford again running a 38. Identical lap time the second time around. Bigley a little bit slower, but still within a tenth. So there's your top three. David Bradford, Corey Bigley, Drew Blaze. Stephen Luttrell now up into the fourth spot. Not really sure where Steve gained his track position from. He made his pit stop at lap 35, and he's started back in 15th. Now in the fourth position. Having a solid run here tonight so far at Texas.
It's good to see some different, him up there and some different faces there, kind of towards the front a little bit. He does have a pretty strong run. I think he was doing a little bit of what Drew did early, and saved some tire and gained at the end of the previous run. Was able to just match pit entry and exit and maintain it. That was him reap the benefits of that.
Luttrell maintaining about a couple car lengths back to the 73 of Jeremiah Holt. Again, Holt the pole sitter here tonight, fastest in practice, trying to sweep the sessions here tonight, win practice, win qualifying, and of course win the race. He's got to have some work to do on the race car here, maybe that next pit stop, see if we can find some more pace. Meanwhile, we're going to have a battle for the lead here, and it's between three different cars. Bradford, Bigley, and Drew Blaze still tightly packed together, but Bigley starting to run down Bradford.
Yeah, and I've been watching the interval there with those three, and it came down quick too. So it's gonna be a tight battle here, and it's gonna last for a long time, I think.
Field approaching Terry Wilson, the number 3 machine, about to go a lap down. Right now, Will Jones, the first car, 1 lap down, so he needs a caution to come out right now before Wilson gets lapped, or find a way to run down that 3 machine and take the position away. Actually, really surprised here, Chris, that Will Jones didn't lose more than 1 lap in that exchange.
Yeah, he's hoping for something right now before they get to Terry, which is going to happen pretty quickly here. But going to have to try and run Terry down too. So.
Terry Wilson way up the racetrack,
getting out of the way,
giving plenty of room. Further on down the line, P6, Frank Griffith. Unchallenged right now, quite a distance back to Colt Ansley in the number 86. He runs 7th. Colt started 7th, and that's where he's at. Seems content right now. Hayden Kimber in the number 65. He runs in the 8th spot. He's made some moves here tonight, too. Started 22nd. Bobby Hamilton Jr. closing in as well. He runs 9th. He's up 5. Ken Couch right there behind the 25, followed by Mark Truxell in 11th. Josh Ingram runs 12th in the number 56 machine. A.J. Rogers, last year's champion, shown in 13th. Started 18th, so he's quietly working his way forward. Chris Klein, 14th. Mike Fahey back in the 15th position in the United Rentals number 19 Mustang. Terry Wilson, still 16th. First car, 1 lap down. 17th is Will Jones. Just past halfway here at Texas Motor Speedways, we have a battle for the 2nd position. We are going to step aside, though, get a track limit side-by-side break out of the way. Stay with us. You won't miss a minute of the action. We'll be back after this. Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC Series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified in Silver Crown Driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws Late Model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
Need insurance coverage that's built for speed? Frank Yea's office in South Charleston has your back. Whether you're blazing down the highway, protecting the home you've built, or setting up a legacy for your family, we've got the coverage you need. Auto, home, life, fast, simple, and made for you. Scan the QR code on your screen now to explore all our services and start a free quote today. Lock it in, save it for later, or call us at 304-744-7700 to get started.
Back at Texas Motor Speedway while we were away. You didn't miss it. Bobby Hamilton Jr., though, you saw the handling start to go away on that number 25 machine. And then he had a moment off turn 4, spun the car almost at least, had a moment down into pit lane, got into the fence, and unfortunately for him, unrepairable, has called it a day. And more bad news for Will Jones. He is in pit lane with yet another black flag, and it looks like he has spun down as well based on the tire marks headed to his pit box from the grass.
If that's where he ended up, that's a heck of a slide.
Well, we got a replay of it. Let's take a look. Back it up a little further here. Oh, he got the wall off of 4, so watch it in real time here. Hits the wall. Into the grass.
Almost.
Pretty close. Couple boxes. Let's say that's about all it was. Tough break for Will Jones.
At least he didn't hit the pace car.
Very similar incident, I think, what we saw with Bobby Hamilton Jr. Let's see if I can find that one. Here we go. Yeah, real loose. Around it goes and into the pits. Locks it down, gets the inside wall. That does it for Bobby Jr. Frank Griffin on pit lane. How quickly we get to our second round of green flag stops. Very clean race so far. So scheduled stop for Frank Griffith, 63 laps up on the board. So this should start to drag everybody else down pit lane. The fall off not terrible here at Texas Motor Speedway. Last laps for David Bradford, 29.90 to a 29.02 was his fastest of the night. So less than a second of fall off. It does matter. It helps a little bit to be out there on fresher tires, but it's not the 2 or 3 seconds that we see at some other racetracks. Meanwhile, we're seeing Drew Blaze has taken over that second spot from Corey Bigley. They were side by side quite a bit. Chris, you pointed out that Bigley got the wall just a bit. I think that was off of turn number 2 not too long ago. Handling maybe going away on the 58 machine. It goes back to what we talked about earlier about long run versus short run. Seems that Bradford has both runs handled, but Bigley definitely a little better on the short run as he was tucked up right behind Bradford for quite some time right after the pit stops, but doesn't have that speed late in the run.
Yeah, and getting tucked up behind somebody, if you're not cognizant of it, you will burn the tires up a little bit more because you're cranking more wheel into it. So maybe what we see happening there with Bigley, and you almost wonder if Drew's going to run into the same. He's taking a wider arc into 1 and 2 here, kind of arc it a little bit more later apex to kind of stay out of directly behind Bradford. So I wonder if he's doing that for tire purposes or if that's just the way that his car handles the best, is taking that wide arc.
Well, we talked about it a bit tonight already about how decent or good Drew Blaze is at saving tires, taking care of his stuff, or maybe in this case Drew just has a better long run car because he was able to get up there, fight Begley for that spot, and now he's gotten pretty close to the back bumper of David Bradford here as they're getting set for another round of stops. We'll take a look here quickly, the pit strategy prior to this next round. Bradford went 37 laps, Blaze went an extra one at 38. Still shy of it, 29 to 28 here on this current run for the top 2 drivers. So getting close to making that pit stop here. Josh Ingram, Mike Fahey on pit lane. Ken Couch also headed down. Scheduled service in his Ken's Potable Water hauling Mustang. Last couple of laps, Chris, Blaze has been about a half-tenth quicker than David Bradford.
Yeah, I think he's just content riding right now. I think he knows that he's got a little bit longer fuel left in it. So I think because he pitted 1 lap after Bradford the last time, if I'm not mistaken, and so I think knowing it's kind of middle of the race, holding tight right now to see if he can make that late push and maybe save enough fuel to maybe cut out a stop or shorter pit stop on the long run to get him out ahead. It's easier to pass somebody on pit road than it is to pass them on the track.
Well, this stage of the race here, these guys can make it to the end on 1 more stop. So how long do you wait? If I'm Drew Blaze, you're also going to be asking yourself, do I go ahead and bolt on 4 or do I try it with 2? David Bradford's not one to shy away from 2 tires either. So if you opt for 4, David goes for 2. Now you've got that much more work to do to run him back down, albeit you might have a little bit more grip, a little more lap time in it. But do you have the actual time to make that run and get back up there?
Yeah, at this point, I mean, you're taking almost a full tank to get to the end anyway. So at this point, you take 4 because I think the fuel is going to take longer than the tires anyway, or it's going to be about the same. If they could run another 10, 15 laps, then maybe you look at 2. But I think because the way it is right now, I think hitting the next little bit, they're going to take 4.
About to put lap 72 on the board, and Drew Blaze is checked up as he's coming to pit lane. Oh, shaking and jiving off turn 4 into pit lane. Back end stepped out. A lot of rear brake dialed into that Ford Mustang, but he kept it straight for the most part. Gets into pit lane. And we're going to find out what the strategy play is for Drew Blaze. As I think Frank Griffith went a little too far. He's out of gas. So Drew Blaze perfectly in the pit box. Right side tires at a minimum. Just enough Sunoco race fuel to make it to the end of this one. Crew around to the left side of the race car. It's going to be a 4-tire stop for Drew Blaze. That helps David Bradford make his decisions for when he decides to come down and pit. Now Keenan Kimber was shown a black flag. He has served that. Yeah, Chris, there's got to be something up here with the pit entry here at Texas Motor Speedway. Something is different because you're seeing a lot more guys get penalized on pit entry. It's David Bradford, Corey Bigley, AJ Rogers, the top three. They'll pull down into pit lane. Now the only cars still on the lead lap are those three.
Yeah, now watching Bradford come in right there, it did look like they moved that commitment cone out, as opposed to some of the other places that you see it at racetracks around the country. But so maybe that is what it is. It's just a little bit out further towards the track itself, so you guys aren't necessarily seeing it. I also noticed that it doesn't look like it's got a stand-up cone on the infield side. It's got one against the wall, so maybe it's just harder for them to see. I don't know, but we are seeing a lot of penalties that we normally don't see in this league. These guys are usually pretty disciplined about that stuff.
David Bradford leaving pit lane. Drew Blaze with a head of steam and hot tires. Through turns 1 and 2, he'll take over the race lead. Interestingly there, David was able to have a much faster time in pit lane compared to Drew Blaze, but still loses the lead otherwise. I think that might just come down to the fact that Blaze made the stop 2 laps sooner than David Bradford, so that 3/4 of a second or so faster lap time on fresh tires made all the difference for Blaze to take over the race lead here with 25 laps to go.
Yep. I think you're exactly right, Steve. I think that just the two little laps that he was able to turn faster laps in no traffic and things got him in that position. I think you'll start to see Bradford reel him in. And once he gets to him, we'll see if the tires have kind of evened out. We know that Drew's going to take care of his stuff. It's just a matter of, with Bradford pushing a little bit to get to Drew, are those tires going to even out? Is that two lap difference going to still make a big difference there at the end?
Yeah, you talk about the difference in tire fall off being roughly 3/4 of a second. You look at the differential from Blaze back to Bradford. Yeah, it's about that amount of time. It was 2 laps times 0.75 is 1.5, and there you have it. But now Drew increasing that lead. It was 1.5 and some change. Now we're pushing 1.8 back to David. Blaze running a 29.14 the last time by. Bradford a 29.37. Used to be, Chris, with these slick stock car tires, that first lap or two was usually the fastest you were going to have on them, but it's seemingly here, at least with these general tires, it's not necessarily the case. Yeah,
there's a lot that goes into building up the heat and the grip in these. So honestly, the first 2 laps on these tires is a little scary. That's why you see a lot of those guys, like you mentioned during qualifying, taking and doing throwaway laps. They're just trying to get as much heat, taking the longest way around the track that they can, just generate that much. But yeah, those first two laps can be a little sketchy on those cold tires, and that's across the board now. I don't know if they've done the tire update, model update, or something like that, but it's a little sketchy.
Kind of saw some of that with Will Jones in qualifying. He used that first lap, as you said, a throwaway, but he spent most of the lap kind of gently swerving the car left to right, just have some more lateral friction there on the tires to build as much temperature and air pressure as possible. Now Blaze enjoying almost a 2 seconds advantage over David Bradford, who runs in second. Corey Bigley still third, but he's a ways back as well. About 4.3 back from second place David Bradford. Pole sitter Jeremiah Holt still running in fourth. He's 7.8 back from the race lead, and Steve Luttrell having a solid afternoon in P5. Started 15th. What a win this would be for Drew Blaze if he could secure a caution-free win here at Texas Motor Speedway. The Lonestar State 150. Of course, Blaze driving for Lonestar Racing, as well as Mike Fahey, Ken Couch, and some others. Obviously a race that these guys want to perform well at. You want to win every week, but it's a little bit something special if you can do it at a home race.
And I know these guys put a lot of practice on this, like you mentioned with this being a home track. They put a lot of practice in on this track. All those guys are great at this track. Not the ones that aren't in the race with us today. I think we're missing Minnick and Justin Johnson, but all those guys are just lights out fast.
Mike Fahey back in the 12th position. He is the second car one lap down. AJ Rogers 11th. He is the first car one lap down. Yet to have a caution here tonight, and the laps winding down. 16 to go here from Texas Motor Speedway. If that yellow were to come out, though, driver the number 1 Apex Chevrolet would be the recipient of a lucky dog. We'll get him back on a lead lap and in a decent position here with a shot at a top 10. Race recap so far. We're 85 laps in. The leader is Drew Blaze. We've had 6 lead changes tonight, and as we mentioned, not a yellow flag to be seen, knock on wood, just yet. I don't know, Chris, unless something crazy happens like a caution, Drew Blaze is on rails right now, 1.9 ahead of David Bradford, and that deficit really not doing much of anything. Bradford does run a tick faster the previous lap, but Blaze takes it back here by a couple hundredths. They both run at 29.50 and change. I don't really know. Is there enough fall off in the setup of Drew Blaze for Bradford to be able to run him down if this runs green to the end?
I haven't seen it tonight. If there is, Drew's just been consistent throughout the run. I don't think he's the fastest car at the start of the run, but I think pretty close, if not the fastest car at the end of the run. So, I kind of expected Bradford to gain on him a little bit faster than he is. I think he's gaining a little bit right now, fighting some lap traffic here. But I just have not seen the fall off up for the night, with Drew's setup and the way that he drives versus maybe some of the other ones out there.
Drew Blaze so far tonight, Mr. Consistency, now getting through some lap traffic. It's caused his pace to fall a little bit. It's given up a few tenths here to David Bradford, but Bradford's going to have to negotiate that traffic as well when he gets there. Again, less than 12 laps to go for Drew Blaze to secure victory here tonight. That's a long ways to make up there, Chris. You see how far back that green number 13 is. I'd say it's a quarter straightaway between Drew Blaze and David Bradford. It's still 1.4 seconds.
Yeah, and Bradford still has to get through the same lap traffic that Drew did. So we'll see if they're maybe a little bit more lenient with Bradford. It usually is that way. They'll fight the leader a little bit harder to stay on the lead lap, and then the second place car gets to them. They're already wrapped down. So We'll see. He is closing the gap here. It's 1.1 now, so it could run him down the last 10 laps and maybe get close. Looks like he's a couple tenths a second faster. So that does give him time to get there.
Starting to make me wonder, was Bradford just laying back until 10 to go? I mean, he just ran a 29.02, almost, actually a whole tenth faster than Drew Blaze. 9 laps to go. If he can do that every lap to the end, he's going to at least get there.
Yeah, it could be pretty interesting. I think they were pretty close in lap time that last time there, about 300s it looks like. So that's definitely not enough to get him there. I know he was passing that lap car, passing from there. So, I don't know. We'll see. It's down to a second, and with 8 to go.
Shave that time off in the last handful of laps. If he could do that again, we could see a really interesting finish here. We'll see if it plays out that way with 7 laps to go. Oh, Drew Blaze pedaling that thing. Let's go on board and listen. Yeah, he is definitely chasing that car, Chris. Big time pedaling it through turns 1 and 2. Relatively flat out through 3 and 4, as you had described pre-race. Kind of the way you get around this place, but with 6 to go, now 5 to go, it's less than 3/4 of a second back to David. I don't know if he's got enough time, but man, he's now in the same frame as that number 88.
Yeah, it could be pretty close here at the end. It doesn't look like he gained much time on him through that corner. I think it ran about the same. But this lap traffic, I think, will come into play here as these two guys, Truxell and Couch, are fighting it out for position. So they're not in the ballpark of just wanting to give it up either, because they're still fighting for a good finish for themselves.
Couch gives the bottom to Drew Blaze. Again, teammates here. I know he's fighting for a spot with Mark Truxell, but he also doesn't want to impinge the 88. But on exit, he just slots right there in front of Ken Couch, and David Bradford is right there, less than half a second now with less than 4 to go. Bradford's going to have to get through Couch and Truxell as well. Bradford almost a 1/4 second quicker the last time by. And he's there. Car length and a half. We'll call it 2 1/4 car lengths now to second place. Bradford can't open the wheel all the way up because Truxell's topside. And now Mark had a better run down into turn number 3. Takes the top lane, giving room to the leaders. A gentleman driver behind the wheel, that number 5. And here we go. Coming to 2 to go. 2.5 tenths. A little bit less as they come to the stripe. David is there. Ready to pounce. Drives it deep into turn 1. A car length now to the back bumper. This is where Drew has struggled in the last 10 or 12 laps or so.
This is also that zone where you see Bradford starting to get tight in Drew's draft. So getting him to him was one thing, but getting through that draft.
White flag in the air. Final lap from Texas. David Bradford shoves the nose, takes a look to the inside. Nothing doing through turns 1 and 2. Drew Blaze trying to hang on to secure the win from starting position number 3. Real loose on exit is David Bradford. Hammers it down the back straightaway. Don't think he's close enough. I think that was his only opportunity. Through turns 3 and 4 for the final time. Coming to start finish. Into the dogleg. Teammate Mike Fahey way out of the way. Checkered flag waves. And Drew Blaze wins the Lonestar State 150. David Bradford will come home second. Corey Bigley will wrap things up in third. Drew Blaze leading 27 laps en route to the finish. Most of them, Chris, here on that final run after the last stop.
Yeah, he put on a class of, just like you mentioned earlier, consistency, just being able to run his race, stay true to his strategy, and just making it last until the end. So it's a heck of a push there by Bradford at the end to get close. I think a few more laps, maybe he would have got back to him and maybe done it a little bit different. But at the end of the day, Drew put it all together. So it was a perfect race. I didn't jinx him for once.
That's right, you did pick him here tonight. Lonestar Racing winning the Lonestar State 150, and you see the teammates parking it here at start-finish. A team win for these guys. With that, we're going to step aside. We'll get our final break out of the way. We'll have our top three in the broadcast booth after this. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop-lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics, LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC Series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown Driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws late model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
Need insurance coverage that's built for speed? Frank Yea's office in South Charleston has your back. Whether you're blazing down the highway, protecting the home you've built, or setting up a legacy for your family, we've got the coverage you need. Auto, home, life, fast, simple, and made for you. Scan the QR code on your screen now to explore all our services and start a free quote today. Lock it in, save it for later, or call us at 304-744-7700 to get started.
Back at Texas Motor Speedway, the Lonestar State 150 in the books, and Lonestar Racing picks up a trophy here at Texas Motor Speedway. Drew Blaze driving it to victory lane. Let's get a word with the driver of the number 88 machine. Drew Blaze at Steve and Chris Goins in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Drew, congratulations, man. Third place starting position here tonight. I don't know what the deal is with you tonight. I don't know if it was just slow and steady wins the race, take care of the tires, be there at the end, or if you just had a really good long run setup underneath you. Either way, that final pit stop, you put some distance between yourself and David Bradford and never looked back. What was the key to success here tonight at Texas?
Really just being locked in and not making mistakes and nailing the pit stops. And saving tire was a big part of it too. I was kind of backing things up, taking it very cautiously on the first run and kind of seeing where I was at with the tires, and then just kind of going from there, adjusting my pace throughout the race. And then I got ahead of David there, and on that last pit stop, really nailed it down. Just really got to be, minding all your P's and Q's and not making mistakes.
Well, it looked really good out there. Halfway through that final run, you had as much of, I think, a 2-second lead back to David Bradford. Through some lap traffic, he started to run you down a little bit and got awful close into turn one on that final lap. I don't know if he had a nose alongside, but really his last opportunity there. Was there any defense that you had made at that point, or just trying to run your line to be as fast as you can out of the corner?
I had already decided that, if he got up to me, I was gonna let him have the inside and keep the momentum on the outside. I feel like I had not completely burned up my tires to that point. So, yeah, I was being defensive but smart about it. If he got up underneath me, then if he could pass me there, and with my momentum, then it is what it is. But I wasn't going to be like blocking or anything. It's just not how I operate.
Another intermediate track next week. Las Vegas Motor Speedway is where our next event will be. Obviously a different style racetrack, but still generally the same size. How does the approach change out at Las Vegas?
Yeah, Las Vegas is very interesting. It definitely has a history of burning up the rear tires, so we're gonna have to go into the setup and really nail that down and do some long run testing, because I've had some issues on Vegas. I love Vegas personally, but I don't think it loves me. It always seems to just to bite me in the rear. So we're gonna just nail the setup down and do the practice, do the work, and go from there.
All right, Drew. Well, a job well done here tonight, picking up another win here in the PSRA Open ARCA Series. Again, a Lone Star Racing win in the Lone Star State 150. Who do you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, I just got to thank all my guys, Justin Johnson, Mike Fahey, Ken Couch, my whole team, man, all the guys around me. Couldn't do without any of them. Putting up with all my setup stuff throughout the week, test this setup, let me know what you think, and then make adjustments. And it's just definitely a two-way street. So shout out to all those guys. Shout out to you for putting on the broadcast here. Great broadcast as always.
All right, Drew. Well, thanks for the kind words. Congratulations again, man. Good luck next week in Las Vegas.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Drew Blaze, your race winner here tonight at Texas Motor Speedway. Next, we'll talk to David Bradford. Thought he had this one in the bag, but got past there late through the cycle of green flag pit stops, was not able to finish that pass there at the end, was able to run him down, but just a little bit too late. David at Steve and Chris in the booth. You got us?
I guess.
David, congratulations, man. Runner-up. I know you'll take the points. You wanted that win here tonight. Very fast race car, as you've really had as of late. Good qualifying effort as well, but not enough at the end. Got passed through that last green flag pit cycle. What was the difference maker there? What happened? It seemed like you had a decent time frame. Was it just staying out too long?
Honestly, Steve, he just had a better car than me tonight. Like, I could see it. First run, second run, I was kind of watching the time and things like that, and I could just see how good he was. And once he pitted early there right before me, I kind of knew it was over. I just had to run a little bit longer. And once he came back out on track, I saw him running some teens and O's and stuff like that, so I just decided I'm going to back off these first couple laps, run 30s and 40s, and see if he can't wear his stuff out, because it looked like he was trying pretty hard where, the whole rest of the night he hadn't been going that hard at the very beginning of the run, and it was paying off for him on the long run. It's just I had a plan in my head. I just didn't get through 1 and 2, man. If I could have got through 1 and 2, I was going to try and loosen him up through 3 and 4 and just stick to his bumper, see what happened.
We watched that move down into turn number 1 on the white flag lap. Thought you had something for him there. Might have just barely got the nose in, but not quite enough. Were you alongside? Could you have shoved it down a little deeper or no?
No, I mean, the whole time, 1 and 2 was never going to be the move. I mean, if I would have got underneath him there, which down the front stretch, he left me the bottom open when I got the run off 4. But I didn't want to be down there because he just ran on my door, and that would have been game over. But I really just wanted to come off 2 even with him, so I could be up his bumper, because all practice this week, if somebody was on your bumper through 3 and 4 on old tires, it was just a handful. And, not a lot of people, could hang on to it. We were really going to crash, or he was going to slide up the racetrack, pretty much is how that one was going to go. But, I was going to give it a good shot. I just messed up the entry and then didn't get through the center, and he ran away from me off the corner.
Las Vegas Motor Speedway next week, another fast racetrack similar to Texas, just no dogleg. Arrow loose going to come into play there as well. If you get tucked up underneath somebody, that might be a strategy play for yourself or somebody else. How do you prepare next week? Obviously, setups are important, but you got to be able to get around the place.
Yeah, honestly, and I'm going to be working a little bit overtime this week because we got a special guest coming next week that ain't raced in a while. So try to make sure I bring my best stuff for him so we can have a good season next season. But hopefully this guy will get right back into it. He's been out for a while, but we're going to give him something special for Las Vegas next week so he can hopefully run up front.
Well, that sounds intriguing. Certainly looking forward to that. David, congratulations. Runner-up finish here tonight at Texas Motor Speedway. Who do you want to thank before we let you go?
Of course, I got to thank everybody watching, sister, dad, uncle. I don't know if Mom stayed up for this one. I know she did last week, but it's been a good couple runs here. Is actually, my wife bought me some of them weird racing socks, sim socks. And I hadn't lost since I put them on. Tonight was actually the first loss, so don't recommend them. They're stickier. They're like hospital socks. They're stickier than hell. But I don't know. Something about them just brought me good luck for a while there.
Well, fair enough, David. Congrats again, man. Thanks for talking to us. Good luck next week.
Thanks, guys.
David Bradford, runner-up here at Texas Motor Speedway. Next, the Red Bull Mustang of Corey Bigley, our third-place finisher. Let's get a word with Corey. Corey, it's Steve and Chris in the booth. You got us?
Yep, I got you.
Corey, congratulations, man. Third place tonight, started fifth. Not a terrible run by any stretch of anyone's imagination. It seemed, at least early on in these runs here tonight, you had a lot of pace underneath that Ford Mustang. What was the difference maker here tonight? Was it more short-run car that bit you tonight?
No, I learned something from the first run. I was just driving it too hard, I learned. And then I went the wrong way on tightening the car up, then freeing it up, or should just left it. And then I would have been good, because that's how they got away from me on the second run. I just over-tightened the car, and then the third run, I went too far tightened, and I messed up on getting off, or not messed up getting on pit road, but I messed up pitting. I should have pit a little earlier, and then I would have been out about pretty close with them. But I was still not mad, even with the car so tight. I was still about a tenth off them at the end. Like, it's not bad. But yeah, I worked on the setup a little bit, and I was trying to make adjustments on another setup in practice session. I just didn't like it. I just got too free so early in the run. It's just how my driving was, and I learned from driving so hard early on in the first run. I shouldn't have adjusted anything, because I would have been really good the second and third run.
Well, third place finish either way. You looked real strong out there tonight. We get set now for Las Vegas Motor Speedway next week. Somewhat similar racetrack. We'll call it an intermediate to intermediate. Obviously, no dogleg to be concerned with. What changes for your strategies next week? Do you really work on that setup as much as this week? Do you overdo it, or you just kind of go with what you got and see what it yields?
I can see what we got, but the hard part is I'm going out of town on Thursday, and I won't be back till Sunday pretty much, because I'll be at Auburndale Speedway. I'd rather be running the Sportsman Super, and that's the only hard part because I ain't gonna be here that much this week. But yeah, if they put another session up, I'll try to help my guys a couple days. It's like if I have 3 days this week, and I can at least try to get the car pretty good, like pretty balanced, and then that's what I was trying to just aim for. And if I get it again, and we'll be pretty good. And just a short run, I just need to work on a little bit longer run, but I think we'll be pretty good next week also.
All right, Corey. Well, congratulations again on third place, man. Who do you want to thank before we let you go?
I just got to thank Stinger Motorsports, Frank and Josh and all the guys there. And you guys for putting us on so I can watch it tomorrow or so. And then I can see what I did wrong. But the good thing is, another top 3. I'm just trying to just move my way back forward after when I had because I had a good All-Star race, and then I had I'm just trying to keep my momentum going from whenever I had those 2 bad races. Just trying to keep it going forward.
Keep it consistent. Things will fall into play. Corey, congratulations. Third place here tonight. Thanks for talking to us. Good luck next week in Vegas.
Thank you. And you guys have a good night.
Corey Bigley, your third place finisher here at Texas Motor Speedway. That'll do it for the interview portion of tonight's broadcast. Let's take a look at our race results. Of course, we talked to Drew Blaze, David Bradford, and Corey Bigley, your top 3. Steve Luttrell, a solid top 4 finish. He'll come home in 4th. Jeremiah Holt, pole sitter tonight, 5th place. Respectable finish for the number 73. Certainly not what he was looking for. We thought he was going to have more for those top 3, but man, they just ran away from everybody. Cole Ansley finishes out in the 6th position. Mark Truxell, a great finish, went from last to P7. Ken Couch was 8th. Josh Ingram came home in 9th. A.J. Rogers was 10th. Chris Klein, 11th. Mike Fahey finishes in the 12th spot. Frank Griffith was 13th. Terry Wilson, 14th. Keenan Kimber was 15th. Will Jones finishes in the 16th spot after a front row starting position. Black flag or 2 for the number 46 kind of ended his night. Bobby Hamilton Jr., trouble off turn 4. He ends up crashed into pit lane. He'll finish 17th. Alan DeFries was 18th, 60 laps down. Rodney Roberts was 19th. Will Hewitt finishes in the 20th position. 21st finisher Aaron Longworth, 22nd went to Matt Nicholson, spun on the very first lap, so he'll come home with last place points tonight here in Texas. Certainly going to be looking for more next week at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Chris, the first caution-free race of the season, I believe. I think this one was pretty fun to watch, even though everybody got really spread out without those cautions and a couple of green flag pit cycles. But all in all, I think we had a good race tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's super competitive. Came down to super close margin of victory there. So just really good showing by these guys, and hopefully they can continue it next week at Vegas.
Well, that's going to do it for us here at Track Limits Network. Thank you guys all for tuning in here tonight. Stream chat awful quiet this evening. Dolly Wall, the only chatter that we had. So help us out with that in the future, guys. Jump up there in that stream chat. Say hey. Ask questions. Whatever you want to do. Just keep it PG for the kids. Also, as always, like, follow, share, and subscribe. That helps us more than you know. And all of those things are free to do. We'll see you guys next week at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.